spot prawns, go out and catch them in a trap. You basically, when you get them, just twist the head off, and now you just save the tail, and you're good. But while they're alive, right?
Yes.
And it won't hurt you to eat them. It's just texturally somewhat unpleasant.
Yeah.
So the other thing I love to do is I'll butterfly them out, push that egg sac up through the center, and just brush them with a little bit of brown butter and lemon juice. Put them under the broiler. The thing is, it's not the prawn that you want to go crazy on seasoning because they're very lightly flavored. Just the way
it's the same as for me at least, with the beautiful Copper River sockeye that we had. You just want to enhance their perfect light flavor and not overpower it.
Yeah. And that sockeye we did just, sockeye is so thin, it just takes a minute or two to grill. We did it on the wood fire, and it's just a little bit smoky, a little bit delicious, a lot delicious.
I splurged on the king last week at Central Market. Only $85 a pound.
Ew, a bargain.
On the Copper River King?
Yeah, on the Copper River King. Delicious, but probably for me, I might just stay with the wild Alaska King.
Yeah.
Or our Washington. But very happy to see that Copper River got some additional protection this week from the EPA.
That was great news.
Bristol Bay. Yeah. So more attention to our salmon sources.
Yeah, I agree. All right, just in time to finish up National Beef Month, we're going to talk about Beef It Up, a new book by Jessica Formicola, and all about the versatility of beef. That's the feeling of like a
magazine.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Sorry, Sean, that went a little long.
So I was reading the EPA article with Casey Sixkiller as our new regional administrator, and I confused it with his dad, Sonny Sixkiller. So that yesterday I was reading about, and then I was looking at emails last night for class signups, and Sonny Sixkiller signed up to come to the class tomorrow, and I'm like, 2 Sixkillers in my life in one day. It's so weird.
That's a coincidence,
isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, please.
Oh, there it is.
Hello.
Hi, Jessica. This is the Hot Stove team. Thank you for taking our call.
Thank you for having me.
We're very excited about the book. Tom, of course, is here, and his co-host today is his daughter, Loretta, who's also managing partner of our company, and they're both going to talk about why this book is so cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Are you on speakerphone?
I am on my AirPods, but I can hear an echo. Let me switch over to no AirPods. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
Typically, the AirPods are fine, yeah.
I know. I just had them in for my last call, and they were fine.
Oh, you sound fantastic now. Crystal clear. Appreciate it.
Okay, good.
Jessica, will you say your name for us, please?
Jessica Formicola.
Formicola.
Beef it up.
Had it right.
Yep.
Who did you talk to before us? I mean, is there somebody more famous than us?
Librarian? No, of course not. I'm still hearing an echo. Are you guys hearing an echo?
We are, but it's not untypical, I'll say. So I think we're fine.
Okay. Okay, good.
How's our pal Carrie Bachman doing?
What was that? I'm sorry. Oh, Carrie? Oh, she's doing great. She's great. Yeah. She and I had dinner together a couple of weeks ago. I was up in her area, and I got to meet her in person. We've been working together for a year and a half now, ever since I signed my book deal, and it was the first time I'd gotten to meet her because of COVID.
Ah, exactly. Well, and plus, she's always down at Rehoboth or someplace like that at the beach, just lounging about.
She is, but I'm in Baltimore, so that's actually closer for me.
I see. I grew up going to Rehoboth and Ocean City, Maryland, and Wildwood, New Jersey, Cape May, Lewis.
Yeah, we go to all those too. My kids are 2 and 4. So they're that prime age for the boardwalk.
You betcha.
It's a nightmare for me, but they love it.
Well, the Rehoboth boardwalk is the perfect kind of family boardwalk. It's about not even a mile long. Ocean City is crazy. It goes on forever.
Yeah, Ocean City, we actually stayed on the boardwalk last year, and it was a little intense. We did Rehoboth the year before that, and you're right, that was just perfect.
Interesting. Sean, you feel good about the sound? Okay. We have about, once we start, 10 and a half minutes. So it's longer than a lot of interviews. So come with it, Jessica. Bring it.
I know she will.
I will talk as long as you want me to talk. I'm a really good talker.
Yeah, the only thing that as you know, the only thing that hurts are one-word answers.
Yes, no, I'm not good at that, and you'll probably tell me to shut up.
All right, we're back here in the Hot Stove Society kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's the my partner and operating officer of the Tom Douglas Restaurant Group. What are we now, TD & Co?
TD & Co is coming. Special preview.
Special preview. So, so Loretta Douglas is sitting in for Mr. Thierry Roturo today, who is visiting mom in France, and then hosting a river cruise down the Rhone, I believe.
Thanks for the invite, Thierry.
Yeah,
Jeez.
exactly. And so we're going to miss him for 3 weeks. We have a couple of different guest hosts sitting in. And I'll tell you, last week I had, I'm not going to get into that now because I want to spend our time with Jessica. Jessica Formicola is here. She's got a book out called Beef It Up, 50 Mouth-Watering Recipes for Ground Beef, Steaks, Stews, Roast, and Ribs, and more. And Jessica, welcome to our show. That looks fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And how does a girl from Baltimore who's grown up around crab cakes end up writing a Beef It Up book?
Well, I'm not originally from Baltimore, so that's part of it. I'm originally from Colorado, where we're very heavy on beef. But
yes, that explains everything.
Yeah, I started working with Certified Angus Beef Brand many years ago when I was just blogging and food writing, and I became a brand ambassador for them. And I was invited to their test kitchens and to meet the cattle ranchers that they work with. And I really developed a love and respect for the cattle ranching industry as well as beef. And it grew into making a book about beef, which was really natural and very genuine. I had a couple of cookbook offers before this that just weren't a good fit, and beef ended up being that great fit for me. So I'm really excited to have written it and promote it. It was actually 2 times longer than it is right now. We had to cut half of it because I was just so excited about beef.
That is very funny.
That is a lot of beef recipes if you have 100 in there originally.
I had 120.
Wow.
And now it's 50 beef recipes. And I like to say I snuck in a few bonuses in the way of compound butters and sauces, but they still kept it at 50 for the cover.
Let's talk about some of your favorites. There's some, when you read through it, it reminds me a little bit, there's some old fashioned recipes like beef and pea stroganoff, things that maybe people have forgotten how to make at home that used to be standards.
They have, popular in like the 1950s with the Jello mold, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are a lot of comfort classics, but they have new modern twists on them. And it's not anything that ingredients that are weird that you're going to have to source. It's just more the cooking technique. So for instance, we do a Salisbury steak, but we do it with a caramelized onion gravy to elevate it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or we take pad thai and use beef instead of chicken or shrimp. Or one of my other favorites is the shepherd's pie mac and cheese. So we take these 2 classic comfort foods. And the thing about shepherd's pie I always eat is pie crust. It's like my enemy in the kitchen is pie crust. So we use mac and cheese and combine it with the shepherd's pie filling and bake it for this awesome 1-dish meal that's totally family friendly. Who wouldn't want to serve that?
Mm-hmm. And so you don't do like the whole potato top or anything like that on it?
Nope. We use mac and cheese with like an awesome white cheddar.
Sounds delicious.
How did
so it's just a little different.
How did you how was the cookbook writing process and what ended up being the final cookbook? How was it influenced by your long time as a food blogger and writer?
I used recipes that I knew were still in the rotation. So as a food blogger, we do a lot with what's called SEO, search engine optimization. And I know it's totally technical and boring, but I have a system that I use, software that can tell me how many people are Googling recipes. And even though there's a lot of folks moving towards veganism and vegetarianism, what Google showed me is that there are still a lot of people out there Googling beef recipes. And I think that they liked the nostalgia, especially during COVID times where people were at home cooking. They wanted to cook some of these recipes they remembered from their childhood, and they were still looking them up. You can tell that people are still eating beef. So I wanted to include a lot of recipes that would intrigue people, that I knew people would want to make, but also think a little bit outside of the box. So we have an entire chapter on steaks. We have an entire chapter on soups. And again, fun things like deconstructing a cheeseburger and making it into a soup, stuff like that.
You know, when you go to the All Recipes website, they also rate recipes on their popularity, which I'm always amazed at some of the, most simple things. I do a little TV segment here for one of the local channels, and my most popular video over the last 10 years was how to make a homemade corn dog. It's like you just never know what's going to turn people on to like.
I love a good homemade corn dog.
It's great.
Love it. I can't wait for the state fair. That's like the one time a year I get one.
Exactly.
So good.
One section in your book that really, to me, represents 2020. And somehow I go back to either the taco salad or the Vietnamese beef salad, but steak salads, beef salads are really a popular way to consume beef, which when I was growing up, that just never was in the repertoire of anywhere I ever went.
No, but nowadays when we're all kind of focused on a healthy lifestyle and everybody's version of that is different, right? I think of it as in my family, just less processed foods. And beef is one single ingredient. So it is still in my rotation for really high, good quality proteins. And right now, beef is actually less expensive than a lot of the other proteins. But I also want to pair that with a lot of vegetables. I love color. I tell my kids, they're 2 and 4, we need to eat the rainbow. So why not make it into salads? And salads also don't have to be just lettuce bases. My favorite one in there is actually a Brussels sprout salad, where we roast Brussels sprouts and potatoes and use that as the base, and then make this really zingy, tangy lemon vinaigrette dressing with a lot of garlic. And it's just perfect.
Yeah. And one of the
entree or an appetizer.
Yeah. And one of the great things about that is that instead of sitting down to a 16-ounce steak with a butter-laden baked potato, your steak quantity goes down to 4 ounces, and really the base of the salad is much more the center of the plate.
Yes. I mean, I'm very focused on portion size. You're talking about your friend that's in France, who travels throughout Europe, or we're Italian going to Italy. You don't get a pound of pasta in your dish. You can eat these things as long as you do it in moderation, and beef the same way. And there are a lot of really great lean cuts or great ways to make fattier cuts as long as it's in moderation.
Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on the whole Wagyu beef issue and prime and choice and, people chasing around what they're, whether it's grass-fed or grain-fed or grain-finished or, all those kind of things. Do you have a theory of what you like to chase down when it comes to the quality you want to serve your family?
So I have literally sat down and done taste tests side by side on multiple occasions where people have kind of bet me that there'd be a difference. And I honestly, the biggest difference I find is with corn-fed, corn-finished, and the genetics of the cow, like the black Angus or a certified Angus beef versus other things. Wagyu, I think it gets labeled a lot, and it's mostly American. It's not actual Japanese. When you go, now I've been to Japan and had it over there, and it is very different. The quality of marbling is just amazing. But there really isn't a huge difference in flavor. It would be more on the marbleization, and that's more to do with diet and genetics of the cattle than it has to do with their prime and select and all of these things. But I also think that you can take, as long as you know how to work with beef, and we've got a great chart in the front of the book that's demystifying beef cuts and tells you how to best prepare each cut. If you know how to prepare that cut, you can choose a select or a choice cut. It doesn't have to be prime, and make an amazing meal out of it. It's just knowing how to give it the extra TLC to make it super tender and bring out and brighten the natural flavors.
I also think it's important. You had some of our burgers, Loretta, when I made lunch burgers on Monday at the farm. We bought a half a steer for our freezer like we do every year, but this time we bought a Wagyu steer. And the burger was so fatty that it caught on fire on my grill and literally half melted away before I could even get it turned on the grill. And sometimes, with a product like that, you have to think of a different way to use it. I mean, this is the first time I had thought out and used this with this cow, but it was troublesome.
Better,
Yeah.
No, it's not always better. Knowing the right fat content to be, especially for a really good burger. I usually go for an 80-20 split, but you can't go too lean either, right? You go too lean and it falls apart. It's really finding that sweet spot in the middle. Yeah.
I need to know more about the 41 clove beef recipe, because everything you say in the book is that it's very balanced and not overpoweringly garlicky. But how do you do that with 41 cloves of garlic in there?
All right, Jessica, we only have 30 seconds for that, so make that one.
Okay, well, garlic, much like onions, you can caramelize it, and it tampers down the flavor of that deep onion, so it gets a little bit sweet and adds more of an essence, and it's balanced in a cream sauce with fresh herbs, so that also helps kind of tamper down the extreme garlicky flavor. It is one of my favorites. You should really give it a whirl, and I promise you'll be a believer.
I'm definitely putting that one on my to make list.
It's a classic. 40 garlic chicken's been around for a long time. Jessica's just kind of tweaked it a little bit for herself. Okay, Jessica, leave us with one thought on your favorite steak from a steer.
I always, in classic New York strip, but I like it in cast iron with a nice compound butter.
Ah, lovely. So fun.
Cooked rare.
Cooked rare.
Has to be rare.
All right, Jessica Formicola has been our guest. She has a book out called Beef It Up, 50 Mouthwatering Recipes for all the things like that we cook at home, right? Stews and roast and beef steaks and ground beef and you name it. So congrats on a fine book, and we will talk to you again.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
All right, up next, how is Loretta trying to influence her son's diet now that he's eating solid foods and all that compared to maybe what she had when she was growing up? On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Isn't steak salad the perfect food?
She didn't quite go where I was hoping she would go with it, because it is.
Do you still love it? Don't you?
Oh,
like
I
the
love it. I was going to chime in and say I used to request that Thai beef salad.
Oh,
as
for
my
your birthday
meal.
Your birthday. That's
all
one.
the time.
Yeah. It's still the best way.
So good. It's mostly fried shallots.
The fried shallots.
I just think it's
The
an
croutons.
easy way to cut down
Acid.
the portion of the beef by having that big salad.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas when you're just having the baker and the beef,
all of a sudden you've eaten 12 ounces of
Yeah,
beef. And
exactly.
you're just like,
And just having some crispiness on the
Yeah.
side too.
oh, now I need you to make that.
Yeah.
salad too.
all right, you feeling good?
I think so.
All right, just turn your mic this way a little bit because you want to look at me when you're talking or looking at Pam, and then you won't be so hard. Pam, where do you want to pop in this? You want to do this in the asparagus spot?
Which?
The
Contest.
Oh no, we have it in
Oh, do you have it somewhere?
the segment 3 with the listener wanting to know about what you cook with Chinese and Thai influence, and then the winner. So at the 10:30.
Okay. Yeah, oh, there it is.
No live audience today.
I
Memorial
heard
Day
you were going to be on.
weekend.
Nobody wanted to come.
Wouldn't buy a ticket.
Oh, for the long weekend. Keeping people out of town.
So many.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not out of town.
Nope.
I don't travel on Memorial Day or
No,
Labor
it's
Day anymore. It's
crazy.
miserable.
Thought
We're
about
going
all-
up to Shaw next weekend. And
So smart.
It's just like a quarter of the.
Did you end
very
up going to
traffic.
Bellingham or Leavenworth?
No, that was during our COVID time.
Okay. So you still have those adventures in front of you.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. It's the Hot Stove Society Kitchen
Oh,
Show
yeah.
right here on Cairo. My name's Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
What do you do for the company, Loretta, other than bear children for bear
For your
grandchildren?
enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am our managing director. So I kind of oversee the corporate side of the business
Mhm.
along with ET, but he's really restaurant focused. So all the fun things, HR, accounting. I'm a lawyer, so I do our leases,
Mhm.
Fun day in, day out.
Day
Right
in,
now,
day out.
I am sitting in with the hot stove team for the next couple of months. So I have a desk and also going to help out around here a little more.
Fun. So you get your finger in a lot. It's a restaurant job.
It's a restaurant job.
We were talking
Yeah.
about that yesterday. What's in our company, there's restaurant people, and then we feel like we have to kind of figure out our rub side because we try to
different
force it
business,
into
yeah.
the restaurant business, and it's just not.
Yeah.
And Pam knows a lot about that because she's been run retail businesses for a long time, whether it was marketing and selling Red Hook or marketing and selling Theo chocolate. It's not a restaurant. It's a different.
No, and it's the wholesale piece to the supermarkets and the distribution chain that really is a completely different animal. And it's been changing the needs from the retailer. So
Right.
it's
I've always
hard
tried
when
to force it into the restaurant side of it, and it just doesn't work.
when you're restaurant people, I'm often working between 1 and 4 lunches a week in the restaurants and things like that. It's hard to let go of that kind of restaurant first mentality, but it really is a different animal.
That's another whole story. Okay, let's talk about your son. On company
favorite
property,
topic.
on company property, he's Hercules. In your home, and in my wife's home,
His name is Rory.
Name is Rory. You grew up. We love to tell stories about the weird lunches that we would send, or that the kids at school would wonder what is that weird pot sticker coming out of your thermos, or things that just were maybe not the typical of your classmates. But you also grew up eating what was put in front of you rather than having special meals made for you. There's no doubt about that.
Totally. We always had the 1 bite rule. I always had to try a bite of
Mhm.
everything that was on my plate in front of me. You never made me finish my whole plate of food.
No,
or anything
which is different
like
than when
that.
I was growing up, right? If you didn't finish your plate, you didn't get dessert
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of
Yeah,
different
we
pressures.
didn't have that. It was just you had to try everything on your plate. And some people, I think, now call it a no thank you bite. You can't say no thank you till you've had your bite. But I know that I went through picky phases, as I think any kid does, but I do think I ate everything from the start, and I didn't feel like I really had a choice but to love food for the most part. So
Funny how that goes.
yeah.
So when you think about how you grew up in a restaurant baby household, I mean, you spent lots of times at the restaurants themselves. You ate many of staff meals. How is that affecting how you are bringing up your kid? I mean, we literally sometimes made baby early on, made baby purees for you.
Totally. I think it's interesting because there's this whole movement that has been popularized now, baby-led weaning, that's really replaced purees and packaged baby foods and things like that. And the goal is to just feed your kid what you're feeding yourself. And I think
Directly from formula, you mean? You go right from that?
Yeah, you skip purees pretty much entirely. And, we still did some purees, and Rory loves a good applesauce pouch here and there. But I think in large part, you and Mom were doing that before it had a snappy name. We have pictures of me as a little kid just gnawing on rib bones and fennel stalks and duck legs and things like that. And I'm really trying to cultivate that same willingness to try new things and not make separate meals and things like that with Rory. Fact of the matter is, like, I love mac and cheese. So some nights we're going to eat mac and cheese, but we're going to eat mac and cheese because the whole family's eating mac and cheese and not because I've made
You ever slip in anything there to kind of get some veggies into them when you're doing
my
that?
favorite mac and cheese is with peas and onions.
Yeah.
So if I'm making it for myself, it usually has peas and onions. So that's what Rory gets too.
When we have a good story about you and your first sentence, you had many words, but your first sentence was "Mo poke dadu." My name by you was Dadu, and we were eating pork ribs, and you had polished a couple off, and then you literally said a sentence for the first time, "Mo poke dadu." Now, Pamela, you invited young Hercules to your house for Christmas Eve supper, which we have every year. And lo and behold, he got a hold of his first bone.
And he relished it.
Oh,
it
man.
was the
He certainly
magical
did.
moment of the night when he brought that bone.
We had veal chops for dinner.
Veal chop, and it was.
He loves food. I mean, it's really fun to watch him take such pleasure in food and trying new things. And I have no doubt that there will be times when he refuses everything in front of him. But but for now, while I can influence his eating more, because he's just over 1, I'm doing everything I can to just give him everything, and it's super fun to watch it happen. His favorite food right now is salmon. He can polish off an adult size portion of salmon, no problem. He loves it. So that's been fun. He's very.
He had spot prawns last night.
He had spot prawns last night. What else does he love? Ground meat, like breakfast sausage. He eats more breakfast sausage than I can eat, and things like that. So,
Is there a recommendation for nutritional balance for toddlers?
the biggest thing with babies and young kids is salt, and so much of what we eat is so high in sodium, I think, and that's one of the problems you run into with like packaged sausage and things like that. It's just really high in salt. So if we're having things like that, I try and balance it out with less salty sides, and I'll like scoop his portion before I go in and really season ours and things like that. But otherwise, it really is just the same balanced diet that I think most of us try to follow. He probably is heavier in fruit than the average adult, but for the most part, the goal is just that he eats what we eat.
And when you started to learn the value of money, I used to use a trick on you, which you probably remember, which was, I bet you can't tell me what's in this. And so you would taste it, and then I would put 50 cents up or a quarter up or whatever. And you would taste it and just literally break it down, which was, your mom and I would look at each other like, whoa, that's super weird. What's wrong with our daughter?
Just going through listing everything that was
a touch of cinnamon and maybe not enough butter. And
I pretty much lost every time, but the trick works, right? Because it gets you to not only just eat it, but also to taste it and understand it and think about it. And
understand it, I think, is the big thing. And I will say, one time, Tom Douglas told me I had the best palate in the family, and I've never let him forget it since. But I think
it's true.
It was for like it was for 5 minutes.
No, he meant it.
Yeah. But it's, attributable to things like that, of just learning about food from a young age, more than just enjoying it, but knowing about it.
Speaking of good and delicious things, our next segment, when we come back from the big break, we're going to dive into some goldfish, Pepperidge Farm goldfish, Julia Child's old favorite snack, and one of the things I've been messing around with down at Seatown. So we're going to talk about goldfish and the brand new Old Bay Goldfish crackers right here on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Wow. Doesn't hold a candle to the Cheetos mac and cheese tasting.
Ugh, that was horrific.
I didn't grow up with Old Bay, so all of this is new to me.
Ooh.
Very nervous about
Jumbos.
the colors. They said it's for bigger hands.
The colors are weird.
Oh, no.
What are you expecting? There's same pictures right there.
Oh,
My
no.
favorites are the babies, and they're
How much smaller
teensy
are
tiny,
they?
like half the size.
I saw those too. I was like,
Just a vehicle for more salt, more surface area for salt.
Carrie, you can crush up some of these goldfish and make a crust for the hell of it. Did you hear that question?
You can really see the smiles on the goldfish on the red.
Stop it. Do they really smile?
Yeah, snack with a smile.
Oh.
Color is sourced from plants. Like that should be.
Is it like beet or something?
Color is beet, sweet potato, and watermelon juice.
Whoa. Ooh. They taste different. The red ones.
Well, these didn't bake up very well.
I didn't know if they had a little kick to it.
I actually kind of like the Old Bay one. I liked
I
it.
should deliver some to Mike Mackley. Isn't he an
You
Old Bay
should.
fanatic?
Yeah.
You should just. They're home now, so you can just
Yeah,
drop it on their
they
porch.
have. Although it took me 3 stores to find it.
Oh, really?
Where'd you end up finding it?
Fred Meyer.
Yeah, that seems right.
I kind of like these best.
I think I like just plain the best, and these are plain, just bigger. The white cheddar ones are all right too, if you find those.
So the original isn't the cheddar.
The original is cheddar. They have white cheddar ones. Rory's absolute favorite thing.
We really need Jerry here for this segment, though, because he would go crazy.
With happiness or dismay?
Dismay.
Snob.
Although he might go for it, considering Julia loved to serve them.
I think you should mention that they were developed for adults. But now it's every kid's just catapulted them into popularity.
So the reverse martini is 2 ounces of vermouth and 1 ounce of gin. Is that right? Would you look up what a reverse martini is? I think that's right.
Is that what she drank?
Hey, Edna, you could just say hello.
She's being hard to get today.
She was mean to me immediately as she walked in the door.
Wow.
I'm a sensitive person. Uh-huh.
Five parts vermouth to 1 part gin.
Weird.
And a thick slice of lemon peel. Wow.
I
That
like
is a
my
vermouth.
martini like 5 parts olive juice to 1 part.
Yeah. Wow. That is just a vermouth drink with a splash of
Yep.
gin.
Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, hour number 2 coming your way. Don't forget, we got a full lineup of interesting topics to discuss, including Pepperidge Farm Goldfish, with Old Bay seasoning. We got a few here to try today. Asparagus and morels, a springtime love story. Last week I asked a question. Do you remember what the exact question I asked was? Wasn't it like, if you were here and had a segment to do with us on the show, what would you talk about?
Exactly.
And we have some entries and some winners. Is that right?
We're going to announce the winners today. This is very exciting.
And did you get a ton of emails?
I got 8 substantial ones.
8 substantial ones. Rather, others people just said, I want to win.
Yes. Please enter me.
Please enter me in the contest without doing any of the work.
None of the work.
Okay, that's
It didn't
just
make
not
the
going to
cut
cut
for
it.
the list.
Yeah, And lastly, we're going to wrap up with Rub with Love Tasty Trivia. My name is Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
Sitting in for Mr. Terry Rotaro, the chef in the chapeau. And I think Chef would be really distraught to know that we did a Pepperidge Farm goldfish tasting without him.
I know. I feel like my reaction to goldfish is really not going to be up to Thierry's horror that he would normally
he
have.
would stomp around. I've never eaten these things before. Like,
he
every
couldn't
time.
deign to ever try them, I'm sure.
I said, you've never driven by a McDonald's and just had the hunger pain. And you just pull in through the drive-through and
He hasn't.
get a little quarter pounder, maybe some nuggets.
It's un-American.
It's just ridiculous.
I miss him. I had to sneak this in while he was gone, but it does come to my attention because I follow Food and Wine magazine, and they're very good about talking about popular consumer trends. But what overshadowed this one is now there's a mashup of Ritz crackers and Oreos, half and half.
I saw that.
Oh.
I do not think that I'm
No.
into that.
Well, I think I started it because last summer I started taking goldfish without any inspiration of anybody else and sauteing them in bacon fat and butter and seasonings with my spice line.
You did not invent that.
I totally did. Who else did that?
Well,
With
people
my
have-
peri-peri rub?
Well, people have been seasoning Pepperidge Farm
Not
goldfish.
sauteing in bacon fat.
You might have invented that
Genius.
recipe.
Exactly. Genius. So we use those on a few things like our chowder and our Caesar salad, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I thought that's what inspired you to bring this next thing
No,
on.
she couldn't even buy those and bring them.
Well, about a year ago, Old Bay came out with their own hot sauce, and you couldn't find it in the stores. Now, we heard about these Old Bay flavored goldfish. And so how hard was it, Pam, to find these around town?
I had to go to 3 different stores
Uh-huh.
and ended up at Fred Meyer.
The one on 85th? They
Yeah.
have a good supply?
Good supply.
Uh-huh.
Not
but
after this show. The shelves are going to be wiped out.
I thought Met Market, but as I've been hearing more about supply chain issues and during the pandemic, when I've been looking for things, the big guys really have the lock on these popular American brands.
These
Yeah, I
pop-ups,
find
too.
for the big brands, like you need to get to Fred Meyer or Target if you want the extended flavor line.
Yeah. They're pop-up flavors.
Your birthday
basically.
cake flavored Oreos, all the things like that. It takes the big stores.
Yep, they're the ones that get it.
Yeah.
We
They've got
think
the power.
of these crackers as kind of being kid snacks, but they're really not. They were invented for adults to serve alongside at a cocktail party or something of that nature. And Julia Child used to serve them with a reverse martini, which I just assume, a martini in my mind is the classic recipe is 2 ounces of gin or vodka and 1 ounce of vermouth. So I just guessed that it was 2 ounces of vermouth and 1 ounce of gin. So what did you find out when you looked it up, Pamela?
That she really prioritizes the vermouth, and she does 3 ounces of vermouth to just 3/4 of an ounce of gin with a
wonder if
big lemon peel.
The big, thick lemon peel. So if you want to have the classic version of these, do it with a reverse martini. You won't get quite as drunk quite as fast. So, Loretta, we have 4 types of goldfish here. And, we have a history here at the Hot Stove of having a Hot Stove Society tasting panel. So you're now in charge of the tasting of these fish.
The guinea pig.
So let's start with the grossest first, which I think we all decided was the colored. There's the colored fish. There's a
Yeah.
red, green, orange.
Colors sourced from plants,
I know it says watermelon is part of the coloring process.
but they taste different. Like the the dyed goldfish have a different, less pleasing flavor, in my opinion.
So the beet ones that
Yeah.
are red. Okay,
It's a fail.
it's a fail. All right. So then we have the pizza spice ones next, which we just came out with a new pizza spice for our Rub with Love line, and it's quite fantastic.
I would rather have Rub with Love pizza spice on my goldfish.
Are you
than
saying that to be
actual-
nice to your father?
I'm not. These came out when I was a kid, the pizza spice ones, I remember, and they were quite popular, and I have never enjoyed them. I think it's like the kind of bakey tomatoey addition.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm a goldfish purist.
Okay, so the next one we have are the Old Spice goldfish. I grew up, unlike you, growing
Old
up here on the
Spice.
West Coast.
Old Bay.
Old Bay,
Not
yeah.
deodorant goldfish.
I grew up on the East Coast of those formative years, and blue crabs with Old Bay were classic. And then my favorite potato chip brand back there was called Hers. They came out with an Old Bay potato chip, and you find it now a little bit here and there, and it's McCormick's.
I think it's gone kind of like hipster popular in a way.
Yeah.
Old Bay.
Well, Old Bay was bought by the big spice company McCormick's out of Chicago, and so they took it national. Because when I first moved to Seattle in '77, my mom would buy a can of Old Bay at the grocery store, knowing I was visiting, that I could bring back with me to the West Coast.
It wasn't readily available.
Mhm.
It is now.
It is now for sure. And what do you think of the Old Bay ones?
I don't mind them.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little punchier than the regular ones. I like Old Bay. I'm not the biggest Old Bay fan. You have a nephew. I have a cousin that would put Old Bay on every single thing he eats. But I like them.
Yeah. Old Bay is heavy on celery seed flavor and things.
I actually have a very weird dislike of celery. I kind of hate it. And so I think it's a little bit celery-y for me, but they're nicely seasoned. It's not overpowering. You think they could use a little more?
I would definitely double up on the spice on those guys. Because it's just, if you're going to call it Old Bay, it's like calling something spicy that's not spicy.
Yeah.
It's got a little kick. To me, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
And then our last one, what do they call these on the package for the last one?
Megabites.
Megabites,
Big
of course.
and crispy.
Those are actually my favorite of the group.
Well, I think it's because the original goldfish flavor is best.
Yeah, but they're airier and crunchier.
Yeah. And they're like maybe 2 or 3 times the size of the original goldfish. I eat a lot of goldfish in my life because my son Rory is obsessed with them. But I normally eat them, when they've been sitting out for like 3 days in his snack bowl. So they are actually good and crispy and
it might surprise you,
nice.
but I only eat live goldfish generally. I am
swallowed whole.
Just swallowed them whole. I go to Petco and I get my goldfish. Just a joke. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
The megabites, I love how the company says they were designed specifically to fit adult palates and larger.
And larger.
hands.
Yeah, so you can get your big mitts around them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you want to try the best, go down to Seatown. We now sell, they're so popular, we sell bags of our bacon sauteed goldfish. Did you know that?
I have seen them, yes.
Yeah, and they sell like crazy.
So the
gangbusters.
The duck fat, just in a griddle or in the oven?
Bacon fat, butter.
Oh, bacon.
In a saute pan with different.
Can't
with
give
my,
away the secret recipe.
with my,
I know, okay,
with
sorry.
my Rub with Love spices.
Mm.
And so in our new restaurant down there, which I can't quite announce yet, but soon, we're going to. I'm not going to say it.
Oh,
Wow,
the big tease.
tease.
Yeah, the big teas. We might use some as a breading for something.
Well,
Just saying.
will you answer Terry Benson? I think she asked about what to do with her halibut, and I think a little crust of
A little
goldfish.
goldfish.
I used to
Don't ruin your
in
halibut.
my early 20s days, I used to be pretty known for my Cheez-It chicken tenders.
Yes.
So I
Gross.
no reason you can't use
Gross.
goldfish the same way.
Pam, remind me to answer Terry's question in our
I will.
segment of
Listener comments.
yeah. All
I
right.
will.
When we come back, it is time for morels and asparagus on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
They are airier. still like the babies the best. Those are more like Cheez-It size, you know? Well, because they're airier, they break a lot.
Mine isn't smiling.
I know, these ones don't have faces. I guess adults don't want smiley fish.
There you go.
Yeah, but I don't like the red one.
Eat the rainbow, Hinkley.
Yep. How we doing, Sean?
Best show you've ever taped, Sean? That's what I thought.
Loretta doesn't do much for the audience motivation like Terry does.
There's no one here.
Oh yeah, she's noisy.
All right, let's jump back into this here at the Hot Stove Society. If you ever want to come down here and hang out with us while we're taping our show, it's $30, and you've got a Dahlia Bakery. I can't even speak today. Dahlia Bakery breakfast sandwich. I've got too many goldfish on my palate. Dahlia Bakery breakfast sandwich, hot cup of coffee. Tickets are $30. HotStoveSociety.com. Pamela, our next segment is right up your alley. And you had a dish of the week that inspired this segment about asparagus and morels and all the different springtime vegetables that are popping up right now. It's been such a long winter, and then this cold spring has kind of delayed asparagus by 3 weeks. So what dish did you have that inspired this segment?
Quintessential summer, springtime happiness. There's one of Mike's colleagues has a morel connection, so he's been bringing
the hookup
to the store when they're pristine and cobwebby but still firm. And then Washington.
Wait. They're pristine and cobwebby?
Cobwebby.
How do those get together?
In the structure, comb-like, I think is the mushroom term for it. Just the texture that picks up all the sauces with the little holes. So I had the great fortune to get those morels, and then Washington asparagus finally made its appearance in the state because of the delay. And I had a pack of fresh tofu. So I've been baking my tofu cubes, but you get the crispiness when you fry them. So I
bake your tofu cubes?
I do, but I know that you get the supreme crust on a fry. So I did beautifully fried cubes of tofu.
Breading or no breading?
Cornstarch only.
Cornstarch.
Crisped up the morels in butter and added the asparagus at the last minute and served it with fish sauce and soy over soba noodles with beautiful scallions, green onions.
Yes, please. That sounds so good.
Spectacular. And it reminded me of
that. If you do say so yourself. Now you sound like Terry. My taste of the week? I made this last night.
But they say things that grow together go together. So you don't find asparagus and morels in the same growing environment, but their season is the same. And the combination is uplifting. Have you been able to replicate that?
Well, I was just thinking, I love fish sauce, but there's a lot of vegetarians out there that won't eat it. And so I was just trying to think what I would use in that place, which would probably be more like a nuoc cham, lime juice, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of serrano chili.
That would be wonderful.
But that also typically has fish sauce in it. So
don't they make alternatives?
I'm sure they do. I just don't know what it is personally. So
to get that umami flavor from
maybe some dried shiitake powder or something like that would give you that kind
of black garlic,
black garlic. Yeah.
And then if you had a good vinegar in with it, that would replicate it beautifully, I think. So.
It brings me to my favorite way to cook asparagus, which many people know is on the grill. But I love the big fat guys, right? Because they grill up like a steak. You can get a char on the outside of your asparagus, before just destroying it by, you know, those little thin ones. If you get a char on it, they're toast. They're already overcooked. Now, Loretta over here doesn't like fat asparagus. She likes the little thin
I like the thin ones.
pencil guys.
You know, I am a kind of a latecomer to asparagus, I would say.
You wouldn't eat
No,
the tips
I wouldn't.
growing up.
I still don't love the tops of them, but growing up, I used to cut off all the tops and give them to my dad, and then I would only eat the stalks. But
Peeled, because he taught me about peeling them.
yeah, I trim them up pretty good, and then on the bigger ones especially, I do peel the bottom so you get rid of some of that toughness. But
Yeah, if you don't peel the bottom off, you end up throwing away a third of your asparagus, which you just paid $5 plus a pound for. So all you do is you just take a little bit of that peel off at the bottom, and they're tender all the way down.
Any tips on morels? In reading about them, you're not supposed to eat them raw. So there is a point. I mean, you really have to cook them, because I've read that people get sick from eating them raw.
The only thing that I understand that you can get sick is a lot of times there's worms in them, but just like there are in porcinis or things, you know, a lot of different mushrooms have worms. So do many different fish bellies have worms. That's why that you tend to need to cook fish like halibut or something that can be brought up in warmer waters. You just want to cook that off. But going back to the morels, if you dunk them in salt water and get rid of any possible parasite like that, I think then they're fine to eat no matter what. But don't take my word for it. I'm not a scientist. Read up online and choose for yourself. I always saute them or roast them. And if you heard earlier
feel
in
like
the
morels
show,
need butter.
to me, they
Yes.
need a little bit of that reduction
Yeah.
too, because they're just very lightly flavored. And when you roast them, it's just like when you roast the shiitake, you intensify the flavor of it.
Concentrates a bit.
And they do crispen up beautifully.
Yeah.
Tell them about the one I know we talked about at the beginning of the show, but tell them again about what we did on the sockeye, the Copper River sockeye.
Yeah, we ended up just putting them on a sheet tray. I think that
With
my
melted butter or with
mom
olive
just
oil?
put olive oil with them, and she roasted them on the same pan as some sliced lemons too that she was roasting.
Ah.
And they came out great. They got really crispy. They were small morels, so they go fast. And then we added them to the butter sauce once they were already crispy. So they kept those nice.
Actually, I put them on top.
You just put them on top.
Yeah.
Kept those nice crispy edges. Whereas I think I normally would have sauteed them in the butter sauce. That would be kind of my first inclination, and still delicious, but you don't get those nice crispy edges that way.
And the other thing that came out crispy was the roasted lemons, right? They get all brown and caramelized, and they were a delicious accompaniment. Oddly enough, the strongest flavor on the plate was the roasted lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And served with asparagus. They really are kind of the perfect complement to one another.
Mark Snyder, friend of the show, the guy who did our little logo right here for the Tom and Terry show, sent me a picture the other day of him foraging for wild asparagus up on Whidbey or Port Townsend, somewhere in that area, and made a wild asparagus salad, and super little thin. Then, you know, that size asparagus is when you realize that it's really a grass, right? It's really just this, I don't know,
it blew
scientifically.
my mind the first time I saw how asparagus grew. I don't know what I was picturing
It's a
in
wild
my
plant.
head, but it is crazy that they just poke out there. And then our friend Connie that's farming asparagus in Eastern Washington, she can harvest her asparagus twice a day in sometimes. Like
Mhm.
you cut one row down and then by the afternoon she can cut another.
And they grow on these big crowns that are in the ground. And the other thing we learned a couple years ago on this show, I had no idea, is that once you use up that crown, which is typically a 10 to 13 or 14-year life, you can never plant asparagus in that field again. It leaves something in the soil. You can plant strawberries or corn or whatever, but it leaves something in the ground that is, you can't do asparagus again in that field.
That's crazy.
Which I had no idea.
Yeah.
I have to read up more on
Well,
that.
we should go to our write-in question about what to put with halibut, because I would say your sides should be asparagus and morels.
Yeah,
What are
exactly.
you doing a crust with?
And if there's a job you don't want in the Eastern Washington farm fields, it's asparagus cutting.
Why?
That is back-breaking work. I mean, they're
all
out there bent
manual.
over at
Oh,
their
so
waist,
low.
and they're cutting it a little bit below the surface of the ground. That's why you get that little white bottom on them. Oh my, that looks like hard work. So, all right, when we come back, it's time to talk about not only what are we going to do with our halibut, but we had a question out there last week. It was, you had an opportunity to get a segment on this show. What would you want to talk about? And we were offering a prize of an overnight stay here at the Hotel Andra, and then a ticket to the Hot Stove Society taping on Friday morning with a Dahlia Bakery breakfast sandwich. So let's find out more about that. Who won? When we come back on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
Sorry, I thought you were doing halibut that section.
We just don't have time.
You might be able to sneak it in if you wanted to blend it with the Tyson question about Chinese or Thai cuisine. You could do a Thai treatment to the halibut.
Okay.
So yummy.
I think every time we've done the show without Terry, it goes so fast because none of us are chit-chatting back and forth.
Things to do.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We're doing good. Although I do enjoy his singing and his chit chat.
Audience, but, with not having an audience here today also makes it go faster because there's not the interaction. And last week's audience got
so many
5 tastes of different things. Pam, do you suppose that's Pauletti?
Yes. I think you're going to surprise me with and Loretta with the winner announcement.
Did you pick someone? We should give away a goldfish. Down goldfish.
Should have gone down to get one, but do we always have it in stock? Does Schwartz make them, or
Yeah.
a lot to keep up with?
Takes 2 minutes.
Oh, is that it? In the pan. And it's in the cute blue bag, right?
Mhm.
Guess we don't know this.
Tom's reviewing the entries. One final.
No. I'm going with what you said. Well, I guess what.
And it was so well
This is
written.
very long.
I think you could do just a short part of it.
Summarize it.
Yeah, the timing of.
Yeah, I think I'll go with this.
Yeah, there's just one paragraph.
All right, we're back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. You're smack dab in the middle of our 2 hours that we come to you with every Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for listening. If you can't get us on the weekend live, on the air, terrestrial, then go to our podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, and look us up. And or come out Friday mornings, right, on YouTube. You can watch us live on YouTube. And can people, I know they can watch us live right now on YouTube, like many of you are. Thank you. Hi, YouTubers. But can they look it up during the week and get last week's show or the week before show? Okay. Good.
Just the added visual that we're doing here.
Yeah. So we asked last week, Pam, about our listeners about what they would want to talk about if they were on the show. I can't remember what spurred that question. Do you?
No.
Okay. But we did give them your email, and they said send in a note about what you would talk about in a segment on this show and why it's interesting.
And why they deserved a night here at Hotel Andra.
Right. And yeah, so what we're offering up is a room here at the Andra for a night, and then a visit to our show at the taping on Friday morning. So typically you would come in on a Thursday night and come to the show Friday morning, or come to the show Friday morning and stay Friday night. So, or you could extend it yourself,
Absolutely.
make a long weekend out of it. Anyway, we heard from quite a few people, and I had to pick, and Loretta, you picked the actual winner, but we're going to save that to the end of this segment.
Build the suspense as we
But
go
we're going to
here.
talk about a couple of the things that people wanted to know. Tyson Pauletti wants to know what Tom cooks at home that is influenced by Chinese or Thai cuisine. We talked about it last segment. Thai beef salad was one of my favorite things to do. And to kill two birds with one stone, Terry Benson asked us what to do with the piece of halibut she's got in her fridge. And I would do something like that, right? I would cut the halibut in a little bit smaller pieces. I don't like big chunks of rare white fish like that. So I would cut it into maybe half-inch thick by, if it's maybe 2 inches by a half-inch thick, and maybe do 3 of those per person, and give those a really quick sear. Do them in cornstarch like you did, or just do them plain without any starch. Give those a really quick sear, then use that instead of steak. If you know what a Thai beef salad is, it's got toasted shallots and lime,
Tons of herbs.
lots of herbs and cucumbers and tomatoes, and I would just make that beef salad, but substitute the halibut for the beef. Is that a fair way to finish?
Yes.
That's the kind of thing, Tyson, that I would cook at home. I cook lots of Asian influenced foods. I don't know that any of them are authentic, except for the fact that when I cook them, I like them. And so it's authentic to me.
Absolutely.
I spent years sitting by the doors of Chinese restaurant kitchens just to get a peek to see how they do things, because I'm fascinated by the process. When it came to our winners today, I would say I'm going to double up on the prize. We're going to give away 2 packages today.
Oh,
Wow.
You are such a softie.
What do you mean? I'm not soft. I'm mean. Everyone will tell you that I'm mean to Terry. That's what I hear. Like nonsense. I love
that's
Terry.
why he had to leave the show for a few weeks.
Take a
I
break
love
from
her.
that.
That's why we've been doing the show together for 22 years.
He seems to love you.
I love him. He's the man. We come from very different backgrounds, and so we always torture each other about that. And because he has that lovely French accent, I get accused of being the one who's mean. Whatever. You, Pamela, you picked the one from Sarah, and we heard about this on the podcast about doing a room giveaway at the show. We'd love to be entered. It's our 16th anniversary, May 27th, and my husband listens to the podcast weekly. Sarah, how come you don't listen?
That's today. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. We've been wanting to come to the show for a long time, just haven't yet. A couple of potential talking points. My husband and I are both Washington natives, but he has some Arabic heritage. So we incorporate a lot of Arabic spices in our cooking. He also is an avid fly fisherman. I'm sure would love to talk about how invasive eastern brook trout are in our local high mountain lakes. I didn't know that.
Me
It's
either.
an issue.
We've got a good topic
Brook
there.
trout are a local food source that you can feel good about harvesting. His words. What I loved about this email, and why they're going to win one of our 2 room nights, is that it did exactly what we asked them to do and what they would discuss and all about it. And I would want to have them on to have
They're
this
gonna be with us soon.
to have this conversation. And the other one was just a great story. And this came from Jeanette Harris, and talked a lot about her last days of coming to the hot stove in January of 2020 or February 2020, and had planned this big downtown adventure, something they had been looking forward to, taking a class here, doing all those things. And she's a nurse at the Evergreen Hospital up there by Totem Lake, Evergreen Healthcare Hospital in Kirkland, which is Totem Lake. So she got here. She and her husband got here. They were having a great time. They actually came to a class, and their big thing was to come to a class, stay at the hotel, and go to Lola for breakfast in the morning. And as she puts it, there was at work, where she is a infection prevention specialist. At work, they were getting these cases in the ICU on the day or two before of her planned visit here to the hot stove. And they just figured it was a viral flu. And that all came to an end, that thought, when they started testing these patients. And if you do look back, you'll see it in the news. And to quote her, that testing happened and we got the results on February 28th, the night of our special hot stove Christmas present class. We took the class and totally enjoyed it. We went to our room, enjoyed a special bottle of wine. All things were wonderful until I got a phone call on the 29th, which is that same night in the next day's morning at 3 a.m. Her boss called saying we have a COVID positive patients and they needed me ASAP to deal with this new crisis. No wonderful breakfast at Lola, no slow, easy Saturday morning away from all the cares of the normal healthcare world. Now, overnight, the world had changed. Nothing would be the same, and we didn't even know it. Patients needed us. Healthcare workers needed us. In our little department of 3, we're needed to keep everyone safe. And you guys all remember that Kirkland was the epicenter
Absolutely.
of the national news, CNN. I mean, everybody was here.
What a crazy story to have been here on the eve of.
So, Jeanette, it's our goal to not only get you the ticket or get you the room night here at the hotel, Andra, to get you another class to enjoy, which is this Hot Stove Society radio show taping. But we're going to throw in breakfast at Lola's also, so that you can kind of relive that memory, because we know that the healthcare workers around our country and around the world have been putting in double times, overtimes, and every kind of time to try and get through this pandemic. So, Jeanette, thank you for your nice story.
Thank
Sarah,
you for your work.
Sarah, I don't know how to say it, Al-Mortaji. Thank you. You're our 2 winners of the Hotel Andra overnight package here at the Hot Stove Society radio show. Okay. Coming up, Loretta, you know that we are going to, every week we do our Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia. We're going to ask Annie Elmore, because she's easy pickings. We're going to ask Annie.
Hardly.
We're going to ask Annie to come in and be our third for a Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. And here's the thing. Don't embarrass me.
You know, I've done tasty trivia a time or two on the show before, and I'm nervous.
You're nervous. So there's 2 ways you can embarrass me today. One is kicking my butt.
Just wipe the floor with you.
Wipe the floor with me. Secondly, not get any right.
Okay.
That reflects bad on me.
Well, when we take the next break,
it's all about me here
Pamela's going to give me a couple answers under the table.
All right. That's when we come back. It's the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo 97.3 FM. Here comes Easy Pickens. That's your new name. You're not heading the boat anymore. You're Easy Pickens. Did you go out and splurge and buy a fur coat?
Yes. They're the megas.
They're bigger than you.
They're for hands like Tom. So don't be so
Here, put your
tiny.
hand up.
Oh my goodness.
Look at my thumb.
Yeah.
What do you know about Old Bay?
I know a lot about Old Bay.
Do you use it on anything? No.
Yeah, like some salad.
Oh, that's a great idea. French fries. Why does Mike Mackley put them on? Why does he love it so much?
Baltimore, grew up in that Washington, D.C. area, had it on everything.
She's coming right back.
Yes, sure.
Oh, you mean going first?
Or we can start with
sorry.
Annie if you want. Loretta knows, she's played before. She knows how it goes. Okay.
I'm just gonna be very vague on my answer.
What's new?
less than 50%.
True or false? Sorta.
That was the answer on every law school exam.
Which is probably applicable, correct? Yeah.
Okay, Loretta, you want to go first? Yeah, I'm always supposed to easiest questions first.
But Terry
I don't believe you, but
Terry always loses.
He won last week.
did he?
Everybody
That
won.
has to be the first time in a while.
I'm on a losing streak.
I had.
All right, Pam, throw me the softballs.
All right, here we go. It's time for food for thought, tasty trivia right here on the Hot Stove Society Show. I'm Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
And we're joined by Edna Mode, better known as Annie Elmore, right here.
Thanks.
Annie, do you have any fun classes coming up here at the Hot Stove that you're teaching?
Yes, we do. It's 8
Uh-huh. And do you have a favorite noodle dish? Really?
She made a
With
delicious
nook
one
chum
for
or what? Yeah.
family meal the other day that I happened to be here
Lovely.
for.
I'm
Well-
excited about the chicken 3 ways. Mm-hmm.
Our trivia today is brought to you by Rub with Love, my family of spice blends, sauces, and mustards that belong in your pantry. These condiments will help you create a distinctive flavor in any dish you are creating. Have fun mixing and matching them. Your veggies and your proteins. Rub with Love is found in your local grocery stores like Metropolitan Market, PCC, and Sprouts. And if you're listening in the Palm Springs area, please visit one of the 3 Jensen's locations. The Palm Desert Ace Hardware also has it. And Borrego Outfitters. How did you pick Palm Springs today to feature such?
Carol
All
always
the
does these.
snowbirds are now back in Seattle.
They should have stayed, man.
Tell us how to play the game and who's going to win today. We have no audience members.
I've got 5 questions for each of these 3 intelligent participants. And the one that gets the most right is, of course, the winner. And the prize today is going to be the 2 new spices, taco spice and pizza spice. And I'm going to send to Terry, even though it won't be time for her to get it on her halibut, but I think it'll spark some creativity. And Loretta's going first.
Taco spice on the halibut.
Taco
Would
spice.
be-
That
It's
taco
really
spice is so
citrusy
good.
and
That would be brilliant. Number 1, which state has chosen morels as the state mushroom? Hint, the state starts with M. Yeah, I do.
I need it. Thank you.
She is the godmother of Loretta. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say Maine.
Remember, Minnesota.
Oh,
They're very proud.
The M word, right?
There were a lot more M's when I was going
yeah.
through them
I
in
was
my
like,
head.
not
In
super helpful.
1984, they recognized morels as
Interesting.
their
Are there a
their
lot of
state
morels
mushroom.
growing in Minnesota?
Number 2.
There are. No, I'm just worried that we only have a 2-hour show here.
Please
Okay.
describe a Scotch egg.
Oh, a Scotch egg is a egg wrapped in ground sausage meat and deep fried. It's a Scottish delicacy.
Correct.
Is it?
Yeah.
I wonder. So you saw it in St. Andrews when you were there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Does the United States, number 3, does the United States have the world's highest standards for baby formula?
It does not. I could go on a whole thing, but no.
It's been on my mind
Yeah.
as with
As
the
we face
news.
the
So
formula
you
shortage.
use a goat milk baby formula, right?
We
Caprita?
do, but we've always used European formulas because they have stricter ingredient
Huh,
standards
did not
than
know that.
U.S. formula.
Which international cuisines use rose water for flavoring?
Rose water. Moroccan
Yep.
uses a lot of rose water.
Sometimes
can I go just to
sometimes
Algeria?
sometimes at Thanksgiving we
So I'd say North African, Spain,
You're in the right. You were
Am I in
going
the
in the
area?
right region. Middle East, India,
Middle
China.
Eastern. Yeah,
So we're giving you that one.
great.
And
Can we
finally,
vote on that?
no.
No.
Wow, that was a veto.
Number 5. How does an air fryer work?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, don't ask me that question.
It's a tiny convection oven. Essentially, it's doing the same thing that your home convection oven would do, which is circulating hot air, but on a much smaller scale. So it gets hotter faster and it gets things crispy.
Smaller scale, but the RPMs of the fan is higher. I
Higher,
think.
yeah.
4 out of 5. Great show.
Wow, you guys are going
Loretta
down.
loves her air fryer.
I know that. Annie Elmore.
Air fryer.
Yeah.
Oh, I use it every day.
Her godmother set her up for that one.
Number 1. What does the Scoville scale measure? It is a measurement of the heat level of chili peppers.
The heat level, like this.
How spicy.
How
Like the-
spicy.
5 stars?
That's there it is.
There it is. That's a no. Okay. Where did the Camaillon feast originate, and what is a dish you would enjoy?
Philippines.
Yep. Tell them one of the things you're going to make on the 18th when we have our Camaillon feast.
All right. Eggplant omelet.
Yep.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Filipino dish. Pork I'm not making my own, but there is a grocery store that makes delicious one of that.
You making
some-
lumpia?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
making lumpia.
And fried fish.
I
What
can't
about
wait.
barat?
I'm signing up for this class.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
What about barat?
Barat.
That's the cooked baby bird in its shell.
Oh,
No.
Bulat.
oh no.
That is a solid yes for you. Number 3, what dishes use lemongrass as a seasoning?
Asia.
Name a specific dish.
Lemongrass chicken.
Yes. Is that your favorite one?
Oh yes.
For lemongrass.
Oh yeah.
Please
I
describe
think
this
Tom's gonna walk out of here.
Spanish and Mexican dish arroz con polo.
That is chicken and rice.
Wow.
What meal period is the most popular for eating congee, and what are popular toppings?
Breakfast.
Yep.
What is
Um,
congee?
It is a rice porridge.
Yeah.
You favorite toppings are green onions, fried shallots, either eggs fried or poached, some sort of protein that you prefer. Fermented greens is also ideal on that too, or daikon. Yeah.
I love the dipping the fried donut.
The fried
Oh, yeah,
donut
also
is
the fried
best
donut.
part.
My
yeah.
favorite on congee is the spicy chili crisp. I love that.
Yeah.
They said
Crunch.
sesame seeds a lot too, which would be a great addition.
Yeah.
Annie and Loretta are tied 4 out of 5.
4 out
Mr.
of 5.
Douglas.
I can't imagine why they got that many. Miss Hinkley.
Number 1. When was eating tongue considered a patriotic act in the United States?
During World War II.
You're awesome. Number 2.
I
A little
see his
explanation.
iPad is open.
Yeah. Due to the food shortage problem in Europe, Americans were asked to make a lot of sacrifices, and one was to eat parts of the animals that we normally wouldn't eat. But I remember now that you are a good history buff. What is the name of the fermenting catalyst known as Japanese yeast?
Boy.
You know this.
Probably miso is my guess, but there's a lot of Japanese yeast.
Oh, because-
Koji.
exactly. Koji, made from beans or grains that have been inoculated with the mold Aspergillus.
Yes. He got stranded on an island a long time ago.
Number 3, the elegant New York restaurant, the Quilted Giraffe, popularized the dish Beggar's Purse. Can you please describe this appetizer?
It's a crepe that's wrapped around. I can't remember what else. And there's a little. They use a chive or a garlic chive or a regular chive to make the bow.
Spectacular.
You didn't even know what was in it.
Yeah, 0.5, I think.
He did a
That's my
finger
daughter.
roll.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's the pleated crepe, chive wrap, caviar, creme fraiche.
Caviar creme.
And I think
Ooh.
you should make those for me.
Yeah, no kidding.
What is beni shoga, the bright red garnish served on many Japanese dishes made from?
Salted plum.
Ginger.
Bright red.
Yes, bright red.
They use a lot of red dye number 2 in that.
And finally, what vegetable family is Cavolo Nero from?
The horse family.
It's our favorite kind of kale. Tom's the loser. Congratulations!
I thought Cavallo was horse.
It's not.
Caballo.
Congratulations to Terry
Yes, Terry Benson.
On winning the prize today. It will be delivered to your home once we find out what your address is. And if you want to be like Terry and be a winner, you can listen to our show on Cairo every week, 97.3 FM. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening.
Yep.
All right, promos.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas, and this afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about spot prawns, that delicious delicacy from our local waters. Jessica Formicilla is here with her new book, Beef It Up. What is Rory eating, or shall I say Hercules, and snacking on some Old Bay Goldfish?
Jessica Formicola. It's
What did I say?
it's mistyped here.
What did I say?
Formicilla.
Hi, I'm still going here. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas, and this afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about so many things, including spot prawns. What a great season we're having right here in the Northwest. Jessica Formicola is here with Beef It Up. What Hercules is eating every day now that his mother is making for him, and we're going to snack on some Old Bay Goldfish. Is it worth it?
Thank you. Loretta, you are a delight.
Oh,
and
thanks.
welcome anytime.
Great. Fun.
I get to eat giant goldfish.
And you get to take home a really...
Mm,
Hi, YouTubers.
Thank you.
I'm excited to make this.